So this time last year in the NBA playoffs, so about 10 months ago now, the Golden State Warriors lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5 games. For those who don't remember how that series went, Steph Curry was torching the Minnesota Timberwolves for about a quarter and a half. Then he got injured with a hamstring injury. He was sidelined until game 6 of that series. He would have come back in game 6. The thing is, the offensive powers of Jimmy Butler, who was also dealing with an injury he suffered in the Houston Rockets series, and Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, Pat Spencer, Brandon Pajemski, etc., Quentin Post, it was not enough to get past the Minnesota Timberwolves with Ant, with Randall, with McDaniels, with Gobert. The Minnesota Timberwolves would then go on to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals. Similar thing probably would have happened to the Golden State Warriors. I digress though. What is my point for bringing all of this up? So about a year ago on the channel, we dropped a video that said the Golden State Warriors dynasty might be over. 2022 was really the last great run. This was the first season coming off of a Klay Thompson leaving the dynasty to go to Dallas. You replaced him with Buddy Hield. You got other pieces. Then the Warriors, after that, retooled, getting guys like Seth Curry, like Al Horford, trading Jonathan Kuminga earlier this season in the deadline, getting Kristaps Porzingis. But a lot has happened even prior to that Kuminga trade. You had Jimmy Butler torn ACL against the Miami Heat because of a Pajemski hospital pass. You have the Golden State Warriors now without Stephen Curry, who's dealing with a lingering knee injury, who are on a 5-game losing streak, who are ninth in the Western Conference, who are 32-35, who are only about a game and a half above the Portland Trailblazers. Obviously, the Warriors couldn't drop that low. The next seed, the Memphis Grizzlies, are 23-43, so the Warriors have a play-in spot secured. But this is a Golden State Warriors team that we're looking at, and we have to be 1,000% honest. This might finally be it. Now, look, I'm not saying that the Golden State Warriors are never going to be relevant again, but the Stephen Curry era of the Golden State Warriors, I think that's done. Jimmy Butler coming off of an ACL tear at age 36, going on 37. Extremely hard to do. I mean, we've seen sports medicine do some incredible things with DeJounte Murray, with Jason Tatum coming off of their Achilles tears, probably with Tyrese Halliburton doing the same thing. Damian Lillard winning a 3-point contest off an Achilles tear. I mean, sports medicine has done amazing things for these athletes. Even Kevin Durant coming back in 2021 in Brooklyn off of that Achilles tear. But this is an older guy in Jimmy Butler than all of those guys when they experience those injuries. ACL tears are nothing to play with. Obviously, they're not an Achilles tear, but still, they require a lot of rehab and a lot of time to recover from. You have a Golden State Warriors team where Draymond Green, he has to take a team-friendly deal if they want to land a big free agent. There's been rumblings of landing a guy like a Kawhi Leonard. I don't think that's happening. Kristaps Porzingis, yes, he's healthy, and I think in all honesty, if he stays healthy, that trade age is better for the Warriors, because when we look at Jonathan Kuminga's production on the Atlanta Hawks, it's really hit or miss. Most of his bigger games are against lottery teams. I'm not saying he's not an elite wing, but there's also times where he's out for a string of multiple games because of injuries. He has elite wing potential. I would not call him an elite wing yet. That is still Jalen Johnson's team through and through. I think everybody knows that. I digress. The thing about the Golden State Warriors going into next season, you might get a top 15 draft pick, you might not sure. Brandon Pajemski dropped 25 today in a loss to the New York Knicks, but it's just the same bad habits, blowing a 21-point lead against the Knicks and what would have been a really good win for the Warriors, missing Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, among others. But this is a Warriors team that still, even without Steph, was competitive with the Golden State Warriors. Without Steph, has been competitive and even beaten teams like the Houston Rockets. But I think the magic's wearing off. That Golden State, that Oracle Arena, as people called it, devil magic in that arena. They moved to chase. They got that ring in 2022, but you traded away your future. Ryan Rollins is hooping on the Bucks. Ty Jerome was doing great things on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dante DiVincenzo still a solid player on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jordan Poole was hooping. Then you trade him away after a Draymond Green punch. 2022 and 2023, right? You could have swapped Jonathan Kuminga for OG Anunoby, and you said, nope, we don't want to get OG Anunoby. Excuse me, I mispronounced that. I digress. We're going to keep Jonathan Kuminga and see what the come bucket does. You could have got Anthony Edwards by trading the James Wiseman pick. Nope, we want James Wiseman. Now, if Klay Thompson was still healthy, I think the Wiseman pick was the better pick. But even still, you can't develop bigs. I mean, this whole Warriors experiment and experience after 2022 and that ring was extremely complacent. Teams retooled. Teams got better. Denver retooled. The Spurs retooled with Wemby. The Thunder were getting picks. I mean, everybody was getting better. The Golden State Warriors said, we have Stephen Curry. It's fine. It's not fine because Steph is not enough anymore. You need guys who can handle the ball. Chris Paul was not the answer to all of your problems as the Golden State Warriors. And I do think the sad part about the Warriors' moves in free agency between Chris Paul and Jimmy Butler, they're both aging stars. But Chris Paul was great in terms of allowing Stephen Curry to play the two. There was no real lie about that. I mean, you go back to that Boston game in December 2023, Stephen Curry, crazy rainbow three. Who found him? CP3. When we look at Jimmy Butler, the Chef and the Butler combination, 42-18 record. I think they had 8 games where they went for 25, 5, and 5 as a duo. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray have only done that 4 times this past season. Jimmy and Steph did it 8 times. I mean, there were signs where it's like if you sign these guys like 3 to 4 years ago, like could you imagine post KD, you get Jimmy and you get Chris Paul in like 2019, 2020, bro? That's crazy. But we're not there anymore. We're not there anymore. And because of that, you get guys with name value that fit into the system when they were in their primes, but they don't fit into the system anymore. And the Golden State Warriors system is not one where players really develop. We're seeing some better basketball and decisiveness from Podziemski, despite the fact that, yeah, he still sometimes takes shots that make me want to punch the TV screen. But I'm happy he's getting the confidence to take those shots. That doesn't happen under Wardell's system. It's his system. The entire team is designed to play around him. And I think the good thing about these injuries that Podziemski's kind of touched on is that now these guys are actually learning to play basketball. But the problem is it's probably not Golden State Warriors basketball. And Steve Kerr has to adjust. The organization has to adjust. You have to pivot away from Stephen Curry and start really looking at your future. Who is your future? What is the future of Golden State Warriors basketball? Who are your stars? Who are you guys that you're going to keep? Who are your guys that you're going to cut? Who are your young guys? I think Santos is one of them. Podziemski's another one of them. But outside of that, who is really there for you? Who is really there for you? I think the funny part about these injuries, there are guys that people didn't even know were on the team that were getting minutes, like Sire, like Leons, like Nate Williams. People didn't know who they were. People did not know who those guys were. They're like, yo, did they just get a fan out the crowd? They didn't get a fan out the crowd. They got real players, and they're giving you decent minutes, but people don't even know they exist. So it's just like the Golden State Warriors got to figure it out. But I think it is safe to say the Stephen Curry era, the Dynasty, the Dubs Nation, the gold-blooded, it's time to say goodbye. With that being said, guys, that is going to do it for us today. Again, as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow these socials below for more Box in One content. Follow us on X, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Threads, follow us on Substack, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify. Again, as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you all in the next one.